Brian on the phone.
The Atlanta Braves are on FM 101.9 and AM 1450, Murfreesboro, FM 100.5, Smyrna. I'm Ben Ingram. Your home of the Braves is WGNS.
WGNS Murfreesboro, W270AF Murfreesboro, W263AI Murfreesboro, Smyrna. We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the WGNS Action Line, talking with Rutherford County newsmakers about what matters most to you. Now your host, Brian Barrett.
Well, good morning and welcome into our conversation here for a Friday. A lot to do coming up here in just a couple of moments. Not that far away. Seconds away, actually. Adams Place Executive Director Terry Deal will join us. But first of all, we are going to catch up with Lou Caputo. Lou is the CEO of TriStar Stonecrest Medical Center. Lou joins us on this Friday morning. Lou, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Good. We want to talk to you about something exciting. We've been hearing about this quite a bit here lately, and TriStar Health has filed an application to build a new freestanding ER, South Murfreesboro. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, we are excited about it, too. We feel like there's an opportunity to expand ER access into southern Murfreesboro, and so we are pursuing a freestanding ER in that area.
So where are you in that whole process? Because I know that we came out, you had a big unveiling, this is what it would look like, where it would be, that kind of thing, but I know that there's a process that goes along with this, and very much in, the beginning of this process?
We are at the beginning, and it is a process. We are at the mercy of the state. So there is a certificate of need process is the terminology, and it goes to the Health Facilities Commission at the state for them to determine if there is a need for this service. And so we have submitted our application, and we are awaiting our hearing date from the state of Tennessee.
So why South Murfreesboro? Why the corner of South Church Street and Warrior Drive? I'm sure that you did an extensive study to see where something like this might be needed. So maybe give us some insight on how that was chosen.
We did, and it really goes back to our mission, and that mission is to care for our community and help increase and improve access to health care in our community. And so we're constantly looking for ways to do that, whether it's improving access geographically, whether it's improving access in terms of service lines that may not be in our community so folks don't have to go elsewhere. And so as we evaluated the rapid population growth that we're all familiar with in Rutherford County, we saw that it was taking longer and longer for folks on that side of town in that geography to get to emergent care in a timely manner. I use the term geographically isolated. As the population has grown, it has just taken longer and longer for people on that side of town to get to an ER. And so we, as you mentioned, we did traffic studies and population studies and drive time studies, and that seemed to be the right place to be. And there happened to be a vacant Rite Aid right where we thought was the right place to go. And so it's an opportunity to efficiently retrofit an existing building to bring a new service to the community.
Lou Caputo is with us today. He is the CEO of TriStar Stonecrest Medical Center. I had the opportunity to come out and cover the, announcement there in Smyrna for the South Rutherford County 24/7 ER. One of the things that stood out to me in that was the comparison to Hamilton County, Chattanooga, with Murfreesboro, Rutherford County. And we know about how much growth we've had here in Rutherford County and have grown to exceed Hamilton in many ways. And yet they have 2-3 times more hospital and emergent cares in their area.
Yeah, Brian, that's a great point, and that was of interest to us too. TriStar HCA has hospitals in Chattanooga. The Park Ridge family of hospitals are sister hospitals, and so we're familiar with that market. And just like you said, when we look at that community and know and are aware of the comparisons made between Rutherford and Murfreesboro and Hamilton and Chattanooga, particularly with the populations, that we were underserved. They have 12 different access points and 7 hospitals, and that's just not the case in Rutherford County. So it was a great comparison as to the maturation of healthcare in that community versus where it is in our community. And it's not a slight on our community, and the healthcare providers. We're one of them. We just haven't kept up with the population growth, and so this is an opportunity to do so.
South Murfreesboro, Barfield, Rockvale, Christiana, all areas that have seen explosive growth here in our county, and that's where this proposed ER would be, right at the corner of Church and Warrior Drive, correct?
That's right. That's an area that 10 to 15 years ago, you could probably make it to an emergency room in 5 to 10 minutes, but because of the population growth and the traffic counts, it now takes somewhere between 20 and 25 minutes, and if not longer, if there's a wreck on your way there. It's the 3rd busiest intersection in Rutherford County, so we think it's a prime location to improve the access and the timeliness to emergency care.
Want to tie that access? I mean, it's great if it's there, but if only certain insurance is taken, that doesn't really help folks. I know that can be the case with, some urgent cares and things of that nature. That won't be the case here with the South Rutherford Hospital, would it?
You are right. It will not be the case. This is going to be an emergency room just like you would see at a traditional hospital. And one of the things that's particular and important about emergency rooms is by federal law, we have to care for everybody that walks through those doors, whether they're insured, whether they're on Medicaid or Medicare, or whether they are uninsured. So whoever walks through that door, we're going to take great care of them.
So in this process, is there a call for people listening right now? I mean, what would that be if they were to support this effort? If they want to support this effort, what would they need to do?
I appreciate that question and the opportunity. Yes, there is the opportunity, and it is a part of this process. So in the certificate of need process, as the state is evaluating need, one of the things they look for is the voice of the community, and does the community believe that there is a need? And so we need letters of support. We need that voice from people in that community that say, hey, this is going to improve healthcare. This is something we need on this side of town. And if folks are willing to and they would love to support it, they can go to TristarMurfreesboroER.com, and there's a way to easily put your support for this project.
TristarMurfreesboroER.com, all together. TristarMurfreesboroER.com. I'll put a link on the podcast as well. And Lou, it's been great catching up with you this morning.
Likewise.
And joining us here on the Newsmaker line this morning, Lou Caputo, the CEO of TriStar Stonecrest Medical Center. Action line rolls along here from 101.9, 100.5, WGNS, wgnsradio.com. Powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. Curious about electric vehicles? MTE's Drive EV program has resources to help you learn. Visit driveev.com. Our conversation continues here in just a moment. Sunny skies? Right. Cloudy skies, 76 degrees downtown Murfreesboro.
And I would highly recommend Adams Place. It's a place to enjoy life. It's comfortable. The settings are home-like and not sterile. Adams Place is a place they're looking out for you. You feel at home. And I'm very fortunate there's a lot of people here I already knew. To get back to the food, I want to say one thing. The chef does a fabulous job here. I'm Larry Castelli. And, I would highly recommend Adams Place.
Good Neighbor Events is brought to you by America Pest Control, Old National Bank, and the law offices of John Day.
I've got pests.
AmeriCare is Rutherford County's #1 choice in pest control, and it's simple to see why. After calling 893-7111, their staff came to my house 8 years ago when I had an insect problem. They looked at the situation, showed me the areas and what they'd recommend to resolve the problem. After treatment and with quarterly checks, I'm bug, critter, and creepy crawly free. Thanks, AmeriCare.
Call the best of the best to get rid of your pest.
AmeriCare, 893-7111.
Now, WGNS Good Neighbor Events. Maybe you're new to town and want to learn more about this community. Well, this Saturday, head over to the one-room Ransom Schoolhouse. Members of the Rutherford County Historical Society will be there to share some of the area's history. It's all free, 9 until noon this Saturday at the one-room Ransom Schoolhouse, 717 North Academy Street in Murfreesboro. And it's free, including the coffee and donuts. You've heard us mention that the Rutherford County Farmers Market is celebrating their 50th anniversary this year, and it's from 7 o'clock until 1 in the afternoon every Tuesday and Friday over at the Lane Agri Park. That's on John R. Rice Boulevard, next to Paws, and just down from Sam's. And congratulations on your 50th anniversary. Don't throw away old glory. Bring your tattered American flag to WGNS and let the girls from BSA Troop 2019 at Trinity United Methodist Church retire it with dignity. Plus, we also recycle Bibles. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
FM 1019, FM 100.5, WGNSradio.com. The Good Neighbor Network. The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
We continue 24 minutes after 8 o'clock, Action Line on a Friday, and Terry Deal joins us here in studio this morning from Adams Place, the executive director. For how long now?
I've been with Adams Place for about 6.5 years now.
6.5.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time does fly.
You know, I enjoy hearing the messages that are on the air, and the simple question that Bart asks all the residents, and it makes its way onto the air, is, what do you like about Adams Place?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the one I heard this morning, of course, John Hood always catches my attention just because John is iconic with Murfreesboro
Right.
and this radio station. And his comment was, well, I never really considered anywhere else, you know? So
I hear that a lot.
yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah, it's really interesting, not only from people who have been in Murfreesboro for a long time, but even those that are moving into the area, if their kids or their grandkids have been here for any number of years. The conversation usually starts with, you're the only place that we're giving any consideration.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate that reputation.
Well, for those who have our Murfreesboro through and through, have been here since the beginning, their beginning, I guess, probably are familiar with the Adams name and Adams Place, I would think.
I would imagine so, just because of the history that Dr. Carl Adams and his family have in this community, in the Rutherford, in all of Rutherford County, down in Woodbury. So that name, it does resonate with many people.
You know, I remember hearing when Adams Place was being discussed that, man, that is too far out of town. There's
Right.
no way. Same thing for Jennings and Ayers, by the way,
right.
in the 1800s. and look where they are now, and look where you are now.
Yes.
I mean, so much growth in that area. But that was a long-time vision, I guess, is my point, from Dr. Adams.
Well, it really was. And, I am constantly amazed. Our residents are amazed just to look at even the architecture of the campus and the foresight that was had in the 70s, 80s, and then 90s as the Adams Place campus was being built in the 90s. The thought that was given to not only what was needed then, but what was going to be needed literally decades later, because we have features on our campus that you just don't find in current construction.
Even now?
Even now.
What would be an example or two?
So, when you look at our campus, and it's little things like amounts of storage, not only for the building itself, but for our residents. To think in the 90s that a private storage compartment on the same floor as your apartment would be important in 2025. That's just really unusual. Most places that are built nowadays, and it doesn't matter whether it's Rutherford County or somewhere across the country, that type of consideration is just not given. And so when residents or prospective residents are coming in, they look at the little features like a storage unit that we have and are amazed that, then I walk them, take them on a tour of the building or whatever, and we look in this place and they're like, it's not a room with a bunch of cages. No, it's not. You get a private compartment. So, and that seems like a little thing until you're trying to downsize from a 2,500 or 4,500 square foot home and trying to figure out, what am I going to do? I like to decorate for the holidays. What am I going to do with my stuff? Well, you put your stuff in your storage unit that's right down the hall from your apartment. So it's just little things like that we're given consideration to.
Well, when you said storage, I was thinking, an extra large closet, or a big walk-in. And when the second time you mentioned, you said unit, it's like, okay, we're talking like a storage unit.
It's a 4x6 climate-controlled storage unit.
Wow.
Separate from the apartment. So that way you don't have to have your excess stuff stored under your feet.
Wow. That is pretty ingenious.
So, you wouldn't think, and even from a building storage perspective, for the staff to make use of and that sort of thing. And again, thinking about storage might seem like a silly little thing, but to realize what is truly needed, it is almost as if the developers in the 90s, when they were planning our campus, it is almost as if they sat down and said, okay, what are all the features in my home that I would need if I were going to downsize? And those are the features that were incorporated into our campus.
You've mentioned this a couple of times. I want to actually kind of drill down into this, because you've said, when they were thinking about this in the 70s and 80s, that was, 20 years before the construction actually began. Was there that much thought put into this? Because, you see places pop up now all the time.
Right. Well, if you look back at history, NHC started in the 70s. Well, Dr. Adams always had, when he started NHC, he wanted to change the face of nursing homes. He wanted to bring a level of dignity and respect to the people that were living in those nursing homes. And he and all of NHC has done an absolutely phenomenal job of that in the 50-plus years that NHC has existed. Well, once he got the nursing home business off the ground, Dr. Adams had the vision of having a campus setting where an individual could retire to that campus and live the rest of their lives and receive all levels of care that they would possibly need. So it was his vision from, I don't know, I unfortunately never got to meet Dr. Adams, so I don't know if it was part of the vision from 1977, but it was definitely part of the vision soon thereafter as he started development plans for the campus. And even, when Adams Place did build in the 90s, it was originally designed to be a 4-phase development. They weren't sure what the 4th phase was going to look like, but now that we're in 2025, we're looking at that 4th phase. So there was always the expectation that we would grow. We just needed to see how aging was going to change over time so that we would know how we could adapt to that.
Was this one of the first, I don't want to say first ever, there are lots of first evers, I guess, but I mean, just this type of facility, I mean, it sounds like there were some groundbreaking ideas that were coming out at the time.
Absolutely. So Adams Place is what is called a continuing care retirement community, and that simply means it encompasses independent living, assisted living, memory care, long-term care, and rehab all on the same campus. We are the first continuing care retirement community, or CCRC, in Rutherford County. Stones River Manor has joined that category in the last 10 or so years. But Adams Place has been AC. We're the first of that sort in Rutherford County.
One of the first, maybe. I keep wanting to, let's look at the bigger picture. I mean, it seems like to me that there was so much ingenuity here that was put forth. Like, I mean, this wasn't a thing in the 70s.
Oh, absolutely not. In the 70s, if you think about it, Now, you may not be old enough to remember grandparents and great-grandparents back in the 70s. I am of that generation, so I
can
remember.
go back to the 80s.
You can go back to the 80s. I've got you beat by a little bit. So, you think about, in that time period, the only real living option for the aging parent was either in a relative's home or in a nursing home. And nursing homes got a really bad rap in the 70s, and that's why Dr. Adams saw the need to make some changes. Let's treat these people differently. And the fear was, I'm going to put grandma in a nursing home, and I'm going to walk in to visit her, and she's going to be sitting in a wheelchair in a hall, drooling on herself or whatever. And there was a lot of truth to that back in that day. And Dr. Adams saw the need to make drastic changes in that regard. And so he did that, beginning with the nursing home setting, and then just took that. And, I wish that I could take a time machine back to that time and sit around the board table and see exactly what those conversations were, and just hear how they were addressing these things. We see the future in that we see the way things are changing for our aging population. We see how the needs are changing. What can we do to make sure that we as NHC are at the forefront of everything related to aging? And they did a phenomenal job with that and continue to do so even to this day.
Yeah. Just in my mind, they were looking at their children and saying, what is this going to be like for them?
Yeah. Their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren. Let's look decades into the future and figure out what is it that we need to do to be able to take care of each other.
So I do remember Adams Place being phases. You've got a large campus now.
We do.
How many square feet?
I don't know how many square feet. We do have 22 acres.
22 acres.
Yes.
So you're on phase 3 of 4?
No, we are on phase 4.
So phase 4.
This will be the final development of our campus.
Okay. Is that currently happening, or?
Not at this time. We are in development line, if you will, with NHC, because the company is as large as we are. There are multiple development projects being done. Sure. So I'm waiting somewhat patiently in line for that development. It is going to be an expansion of our independent living, so that'll fall under my territory. So
okay.
I sit by tapping my toes and twiddling my thumbs, waiting, but it'll come.
And that would mean that there's a need that people want to call Adams Place
Most
their
definitely.
home.
Most definitely. Not only is there a need, but it's a changing need, because as there's so much talk about when the baby boomers hit retirement. Well, they've hit it, and they're ready to start making some changes. So Adams Place is a 55 and over community, always has been. And I have residents tell me, well, we don't want 55-year-olds living on this campus. Well, no 55-year-old really wants to live on that campus right now. But by the time we hit 65, 70, early 70s, it might be time to make the move. And that's simply saying, I am tired of taking care of a house and a yard and all the responsibilities that go with that. And I want to go ahead and get onto a campus where there are services available. Doesn't mean that I necessarily want the services right now, but I want to know that they're going to be available so that the decisions are made, so my kids don't have to step in during a crisis situation and figure out, okay, now what do we do? The decision is already there. Once you make the decision to come call Adams Place home, it's just a matter of what portion of campus you're going to be on.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have people really of all ages that first decide, this is the time.
We do.
In my experience with this on a very different level, there has to be the person has to understand that this is what they need or want.
Absolutely.
There's not much coercion from family.
Well, it depends. So typically an individual who is coming into independent living, they're making the decisions for themselves.
Sure.
Okay, I have reached this stage of my life and I'm ready for a change. Okay, and that could mean I'm tired of taking care of the house. or I want to be free to travel and come and go and do as I please and not have to worry about little things like cooking and cleaning. Okay. When someone reaches the stage of needing assisted living or beyond, typically the family is more involved at that stage. Now, don't get me wrong. Family is very much involved in the independent living portion as well,
Right.
because the kids want to make sure that mom and dad are moving to a safe place, and they come in looking at it from that perspective. But usually when someone is going into assisted living, the kids have had to step in and say, mom needs a little bit more help, or whatever it is that they see as a concern.
But that person has also had those conversations that know, Johnny's right or little Susie's right.
In most cases.
In most cases.
Sometimes not, and those are challenging moves. Sometimes a move into assisted living or beyond, whether that be memory care or long-term care, is absolute necessity. And the individual might not be happy about it, but give them time and they usually adjust.
Just think about, maybe you've been in your entire adult life the same area, you've been independent, and then you can't, and then it's got to be emotionally difficult even for the most willing person.
Absolutely. Yeah, just the whole process of downsizing. If you're coming into independent living, yes, I am making the choice for myself, but to give up the house that I've been in for 50 years, give up the community that I've been in for 50 years. Now, that's changing a lot because the population of Rutherford County is changing so much. Now it's harder to find the person who has been in the same house for 50 years. It's more like I moved to town 10 years ago. I bought a condo 4 years ago. I'm ready to move. So, from that perspective, it's getting a little bit easier because the roots aren't quite so deep. But we still have a lot of deep roots in Rutherford County that do want to call Adams Place home. And it does come with challenges.
When I tell people that I've lived in my home for 20 years, it's like, you're crazy. Right.
Yeah, there seems to be some expectation in current society that we need to move every 7 or 8 years. So I don't know. I have pros and cons about that. Sometimes I think we should move just to force us to clean out the closets and, downsize some. It's amazing how much stuff we can accumulate, and that's what makes a move hard. And, when you're downsizing from a large home into 1,000 or 1,500 square foot space at Adams Place, I've got so much stuff. What do I do with it?
I know that I told my kids, my son was in the attic around the holiday period, and he said, "What's this? What's that?" I said, "You can be like a kid in the candy store, but just know you're probably going to have to move that stuff out and get rid of it," right?
That is a very sad reality. I think one of the advantages of me working in the industry that I work in, it kind of helps me see what people go through when they are making these moves. And so it helps me to kind of evaluate. I look at my house and it's like, yeah, I don't need that. That's going out. Now, the problem is my husband likes to pull it back out of the trash can. So, I have to throw it away when he's not there. But it does give me a little bit of a different perspective and help me to let go of some stuff.
Or you have to hide it in the trash can.
I have done that too.
Sounds like we've both been in that situation. Right now, about 20 minutes before 9 o'clock, we're talking this morning with Terry Deal, the executive director of Adams Place here in Murfreesboro. Back with more of the Action Line in just a couple of moments. A check of traffic, a check of your forecast coming up. I want to remind you that today's Good Neighbor of the Day is Tammy Caudle. Tammy is the good neighbor on this Friday for being there when you need a friend. Tammy Caudle receiving flowers today from Ryan Flowers Coffee and Gifts and News Radio WGNS. We've got wgnsradio.com/good neighbor, where you can submit good neighbors or just simply text the word neighbor to our phone number to nominate that special someone that you would like us to recognize. And happy birthday, KJ Smith, our Slick Pig Barbecue Birthday Club winner today.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Don't let concerns about today's events derail your long-term financial strategy. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Lee Colvin, and and I'm here to help. We can work together to understand the impact of these events and make sure that your goals are top of mind. While you can't control market volatility, we'll help focus on what you can control. We can connect in several virtual ways. Start by giving me a call at 615-907-7056. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is Peter Demas, and our family is inviting your family to come eat with us at Demas's restaurant. When Kristen said, okay, when we're going to do the remodel, because we're celebrating 35 years, we also wanted to make it more open and inviting. So we made the lobby a lot more open. Booth seats, a little bit different colors to kind of still keep it a little up to date, make it fresh. We wanted to make it cozier, make it a little bit brighter for people to see, to pay homage to where we have been the entire time. Demas's Restaurant on Northwest Broad Street.
Good morning. A little bit of traffic at times. 65 south here at Trinity Lane. There's been radar out here this morning. Certain parts of Middle Tennessee, especially I-40 out through the Wilson County area through Mount Julia. 24. There was troopers out earlier scattered up and down. 24 at 840 there in Rutherford County. Hey, Princess Hot Chicken has new items on the menu. Check them all out this weekend when you order online. It's easy. PrincessHotChicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Skies become mostly sunny this afternoon with a high around 90. Tonight, mostly clear, low of 67. Saturday, sunshine, high of 93 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 72.
WGNS Action Line, talking with Rutherford County newsmakers about what matters most to you. Weekday mornings at 8:10 on News Radio WGNS.
CBS News Brief. Iran's foreign minister joining counterparts from the UK, France, and Germany at a meeting of the UN Human Rights Council. CBS's Elizabeth Palmer's in Geneva.
The Europeans have been very anxious to open diplomatic space, and that's what's going to happen today.
President Trump says he'll decide within 2 weeks on whether the U.S. will strike Iran as the conflict with Israel enters day 8. Federal appeals panel rules President Trump may retain control over California's National Guard.
In this particular circumstance, the Ninth Circuit said that under the statute, a great deal of deference must be given to the president.
Steamy temps blanketing the country from west to east. It hit 117 in Phoenix.
I can't walk the dog. The dog's mad at me because she can't go for anywhere at this point.
Definitely it can make things a little bit more, depressing. You just want to stay inside all day. You don't really want to do anything because it's so hot outside.
CBS News Brief. I'm Deborah Rodriguez.
Hi, this is Dave Kivanemi at Music World and Drummer's Den, 2762 South Church Street in Murfreesboro. We're across from Indian Hills Golf Course. Come out and see us for all of your music needs. We've got guitars, pianos, amps, drums, PA equipment, rentals, lessons, most anything you can think of in the music genre. Come see us at Music World and Drummer's Den on South Church. We're across from Indian Hills Golf Course.
Your Atlanta Braves station.
Hey, this is Ben Ingram. Thanks for listening to the home of Atlanta Braves baseball. News Radio WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
The Action Line, powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. They offer tools and tips to help you manage your energy use. That MyMTE app is awfully helpful. iOS and Android you can download for free. Terry Deal joins us, the executive director of Adams Place, this morning. We've talked about several things there. How's the food? I bet is a question you get a lot.
How's the food is a very popular question. Our food is amazing. I joke with our residents and tell all of our prospective residents, when you move in, bring your stretchy pants. You know, we all hear about the freshman 15 when we send our kids off to college. Well, there's an Adams Place 15, so just buckle up or unbuckle and get ready. The food is amazing.
Well, that sounds, what are the top three, since you work on that side of things, and I'm sure you can do tours in your sleep by now.
Absolutely.
What are the top 2, 3, 4 things that people ask you?
Security. Want to make sure, whether it's the kids that are asking or the potential resident that's asking, is the building secure? and yes, it is, from one end of campus to another. We employ, security. In independent living, we have somebody in the building for security purposes 24 hours a day. Then obviously in assisted living and beyond, there's whether it's nursing staff, CNAs, whatever, that are in the building 24 hours a day to take care of the residents. We also have security cameras throughout the campus on all of the exits and that sort of thing. So we are a very secure place. The other, one of the other big ones is the food. I always invite folks to come back for a meal because that is part of the decision-making process. So, if you think you might want to live here, don't know if the food's any good, come on, we're going to have a meal. We're going to sit down with some friends around the table and talk to them about what life is like.
And you don't just say come on Wednesday because Wednesday they hit it out of the park, and every other day. I mean, it's every day.
It's every day. I mean, I've even had folks to come in, without an appointment. And if I'm available, I'll certainly stop and spend some time with them. But I'll invite somebody off the street to just come on. If you're here and you've got time, just go ahead and enjoy a meal with us today, because I know whatever it is, it's going to be good. Yeah. So those are going to be two of the top ones. And I guess probably the third biggie is making sure that there's either plenty of things for me to do, or if I don't want to do anything, that's okay. And both of those things are true. We're going to provide a filled calendar of activities. And independent living, we've got a life enrichment director there, and then there's also a life enrichment team for assisted living, memory care, and long-term care and rehab to focus on the individual needs in those areas. So we're going to make sure there's plenty of opportunities for you to get out and do a whole bunch of different stuff. But if the time comes that you really just need to hang out and be by yourself and be quiet for a little while, that is perfectly okay too. Yeah. So I think those are probably three of the big ones.
A visit to the RC Moon Pie Festival or Bell Buckle Cafe, not out of the question.
That absolutely is not out of the question.
This just popped into my head here. So if someone comes in independent care and maybe needs some help, has a health issue, maybe it's rehab, it's not, once you're not independent anymore, even though you could be independent, this is your next step, and that's where you go. I mean, people go back and forth.
People definitely go back and forth. We have rehab on campus. I mean, it's available obviously to the entire community, but we have it because it really does help us to get our people back into their home. And the goal when someone goes into rehab, the goal always, whether they are a resident of Adams Place or they live out in the community, even in another independent living or assisted living, the goal always is to return them to their prior level of care and their prior level of independence. That may end up having to be modified to some degree. Sometimes it has to be modified just short term. Sometimes it has to be modified permanently. But we want to try to make sure to get people back to their previous independence.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that knowing that going into some type of health situation that, you're trying to help me get back to the best version of myself and independence always.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't ever want anybody to look at you and think, well, this is the best that we can be, because, if you have a surgery or you've had a heart attack or open heart surgery or whatever it is that you've had, when you first arrive in rehab, you're not going to be at your best, and you don't want somebody to look at you and just write off, this is the best we're going to get. We always want to look at what that person's abilities are and really work with them to get them back. And, if somebody, let's say I've got an independent living resident that they've spent some time in rehab and they're not quite back to their prior level of functioning, they can partner with an in-home caregiving service to give them that extra little boost. And we've got a partnership with Senior Helpers that does that type of thing for our residents campus-wide.
Having rehab there, I would think, let's just take a resident who maybe had heart surgery. Knowing that they're on the same campus that they lived, that mentally makes a big difference, I would think.
I would imagine so. One of the aspects of being on the campus, when you move in, whether you know anybody going in or not, you're going to immediately have a building full of friends. And it's really interesting to me, and this goes in with any community you go to, the residents become friends. They become very close neighbors, and they check on one another. And so when somebody's on our campus for rehab, their friends and their neighbors just walk next door to rehab and visit with them, make sure they're doing okay, take them their favorite book, feed their cat while they're gone, take care of things for them like we do in community, whether it's through our church community or a tight-knit neighborhood or whatever. Yeah. We take care of those that we're friends with and those that we love. So yeah, our residents being on campus in rehab, they have a regular flow of whether it's staff or neighbors that are coming in to check on them.
And apparently they can have a cat every now and then.
We can, not necessarily in rehab, but we can have cats and dogs in independent living and assisted living. So, our four-legged kids are just as important to us as we're aging sometimes as our two-legged ones. And the four-legged ones typically don't backtalk. So, it is really important that we allow them to have their pets with them.
Yeah. You mentioned nurses and CNA. What are CNAs?
A CNA is a certified nursing assistant.
Okay.
We have CNAs in our rehab and long-term care setting. Some CNAs in the assisted living. Typically in assisted living, it's resident assistants, so they don't necessarily have to be certified. One of the things, we were talking about all of the vision that Dr. Adams had in the medical area. He started CNA programs years and years and years ago, and CNAs are something that we value highly. NHC is in 10 different states, I think it is now, over 50 different centers. And so once a year, we have a CNA banquet, and each center, like Adams Place is a center within NHC. And so each center nominates CNAs, and then they all go and have a big celebration.
Oh,
and
nice.
Then there is one that is chosen as CNA of the year among our entire company. So that's been going on. We just ended CNA week. It is a nationally known recognition week. And so we've got 7 of our CNAs that were nominated this year. So they've gone to Fall Creek Falls for a banquet today. And hopefully one of ours will come home a winner, but if not, somebody with NHC will walk away with the title of CNA of the year.
Well, that's nice. That type of recognition, and really, I'm sure that this is this entire climate of finding people to work jobs. It's been hard.
Mm-hmm. It has.
But that shows a willingness to show appreciation, and that's sometimes really all people want is
Absolutely.
Show me some appreciation.
Yeah, it really is. And CNAs, they work incredibly hard. I mean, everybody does, but CNAs really do incredible work, and we do want to recognize them.
Terry, I know that we've talked a lot about Adams Place this morning, and if you have never been by, the opportunity to stop in, maybe you're in your 50s and you're thinking, you know what, I really don't know what I want to do in the future, or maybe you have a more immediate need. Can they stop in, take a tour, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Always feel free to stop in. If you're wanting, we've got in independent living, we have residents who serve as ambassadors. They do tours and such in my absence. If I'm at work, I may or may not be available for a tour when somebody walks in. If you want to come by just to look around, please feel free to stop by. If you want to talk specifics about money, availability, wait lists, that sort of thing, then I definitely need to have an appointment with them so that I can make sure I've got enough time set aside for them. And I think the same would apply even in the assisted living arena. Claire Highfill or Claire Little, she got married, and Steve Chapek, they do all of the tours for assisted living and memory care. But we always welcome drop-in visits. Just know that we may or may not be able to spend a significant amount of time with you at that point.
Well, the thing to do, it sounds like, if interested, if that person that I was kind of speaking of, they would just call. You'll get them on the list here in the next few weeks for sure.
Yeah, we schedule out, or at least I do. I schedule out appointments several weeks in advance. Sometimes, a lot of times, maybe a child may be flying in August. Well, let's go ahead and make the appointment now. It's really important to, if you're pre-planning, to get with us and get on our wait list. We've got lengthy wait lists in independent living and assisted living. Memory care, there's always going to be a wait list because there's just not enough memory care in this county.
Period.
So, if there's a need or an interest, the key is going ahead and having conversations with us now to at least learn whether Adams Place is where you want to call home. Once you make that decision, the rest of it is easy.
Yeah. Best ways to do that, I guess they could hop on your website too and find out more.
They can hop on the website and find out a lot. You're not going to find pricing on our website. There's way too much that goes into it to just throw numbers out on the website.
Sure.
So when you want to start talking pricing, you've got to have a conversation. But the website is good. It's just adamsplace.org. Certainly give us a call, 615-904-9111. You can check us out on Facebook. There's any number of ways to find us.
Do you have pictures of all your outings and stuff on Facebook and all the things that you have?
We do most everything. Yeah, we're still working on getting the posts up from our recent Ride and Slide event, which is one of our big summer events.
I was going to ask you about that. I've seen some videos, and the community comes out and helps with that. And
yeah, we had 10 vendors helping us out this year, and we partnered with MTSU. The basketball team came out and provided the physical labor for us. So that's one of our most highly anticipated events of the year.
Terry, it's been fun catching up with you this morning.
You too.
Terry Deal. Good to see you. Terry Deal joining us this morning from Adams Place, adamsplace.org, where you can find all kinds of information. That's going to do it for the Action Line. If you missed part of the program now, the podcast will be up shortly. You'll find it at wgnsradio.com under podcast. Then look for Action Line.
Get old. Old National Bank, that is. Old National Bank has the experience and service you need to buy a home, make investments, even online and mobile banking. Old National Bank is in the borough on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Old National Bank at 2230 Dr. MLK Jr. Boulevard, which used to be Mercury Boulevard.
Visit us and enjoy warm, homemade cookies at Old National Bank.
Old National Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Jenny Harrison with Ryan Flowers Coffee and Gifts. I want to welcome you into our shop for a variety of different things to see, and if this bright sunshine isn't cheering you up enough, we have some lovely bright interior arrangements to help give you an extra boost to your day. This is Jenny at Ryan Flowers Coffee and Gifts.